Hi everybody, my name is Karma Renee and I'm going to be making a video that's a little different than the rest of what my channel has to offer and what I plan on doing with it moving forward. As you can see, this is going to be about the Blue Ridge Rock Festival 2023. This video is probably going to be a little bit long. I wrote notes front and back, and if I count the pages like book pages where one side is one page and then the back side is another page, I have 9 total pages to go through. So, this is my third time recording this, and if I have to stop and re-record this video again, I'm going to be livid. So anyway, let's get into this. So, I'm going to preface this by saying I obviously do not blame Blue Ridge for the weather on Thursday, or me oversleeping and procrastinating, because that is my personal problem. This is also going to cover my own personal experience, so it may be different for some other people. I might complain about something that happened directly for me that might not have happened to anybody else. I could be talking obliviously and ignorantly about certain situations that I am still unaware of. But first, I'm going to go through my personal experience, and then I'm going to start getting into what was actually wrong within the festival itself, regardless if it had to do with me or not. And then I do have a final statement at the end. And yeah, the original time I recorded this video, I recorded the entire video and it came out to 37 minutes long. However, I forgot to turn my mic settings on OBS Studio, so I had to re-record. And then last time I paused the recording without realizing I paused the recording. So I had no idea where I was, and I'm not a good video editor. I like to just record the video all in one take and hope for the best, especially when it comes to my laptop, because I don't know how to work it, but I really like using my fucking microphone, so I wanted to use my microphone. Anyway, we're going to go back to February of... Give me 1 second. Hold on. Not that it affected you guys, because, you know, the wonderful world of being able to pause a recording while you're recording. I had to scooch in my chair because, yeah, it was very awkward sitting in the way I was. Also, I do apologize. I am using the laptop standard built-in computer, so this is camera. So this is gonna be laggy, and I'm using my phone flashlight as a light source. I don't like the shadow that it's... Okay. Anyway, we're going to start with February of this year, because that is when I bought my tickets at a different tier level. It was not the highest price tier level. I bought a 4-day general admission pass as well as a 5-night premium camping pass. So the 4-day general admission pass was a total of $294.28. The camping pass was a total of $461.70. So the total amount that I spent on these 2 tickets were $755.98. I'm not going to complain about the price. I'm really not. That's not what I'm here to do. Not going to do that. So fast forward to Tuesday evening, which was September 5th, to early morning Wednesday, September 6th. I am a procrastinator. I waited last fucking minute to pack. And by last minute, I mean work let me out early at like 7:30 p.m. And I spent all night packing. I did not even go to bed. Sorry, I burped, and I don't feel like trying to go through and edit videos. So, I didn't forget anything though. I took everything that I wanted to take and needed to take, so we're good. I aimed to leave at like 4 a.m., but I didn't leave until probably 5:30 a.m. And originally it was supposed to be me, my sister, and a close friend of mine who I consider like family to me, but they both had to drop out for personal reasons, so I ended up going alone. Wednesday, September 6th. So I had to make multiple stops on the way down. Originally, I was only planning on stopping once, and that was going to be in Danville, Virginia, to grab gas, ice, and cigarettes. I am over the age of 21. It is legal for me to smoke cigarettes, but I do not condone the usage of getting addicted to nicotine or drug use. And that excludes marijuana use because I do believe in its medical effects and I believe it should be allowed to be smoked recreationally. But anyway, out of all days that my bladder decided to be overreactive, it was going to choose Wednesday. So I live in the Pittsburgh area, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So driving from my house down to Alton, Virginia without any stops is 6 hours and 50 minutes minus the toll route. And I wasn't going to go the toll route to begin with because I am big dum dum and owe the Pennsylvania Turnpike almost $800. So that is neither here nor there. Anyway, I stopped 3 times before I got to Danville, and then once I got into Danville, I did not get there until about 3 p.m. And I left there about 3:50. I got my ice, I got my cigarettes, and I got a Monster. And I left. Yeah, I think I said that. I don't know. I don't know if I said that I left at 3:50, but that's what time I left Danville. I got to the check-in line for Blue Ridge at 4:15, and I was roughly 4.2 miles away from the entrance to the campgrounds. I'm not going to complain too much about my wait time because earlier in the day, people had wait times of up to 13 to 15 hours just to get into the camping check-in. So, I did not go through the actual check-in until about 8 p.m. What is supposed to happen when you go through check-in is they're supposed to scan the barcode on your window decal to figure out what kind of camping you purchased. And they're also supposed to have you step out of the vehicle, ask you if you have any glass, weapons, or illegal drugs. And they're supposed to search your car. That is not what happened. They scanned my barcode, wrote the letter V on my windshield with a marker, like a windshield marker, to signal that I was in VIP/premium camping. They made me roll down the window behind me in my car, so like behind the driver seat. They shined a flashlight in there and said goodbye. They're also supposed to have dogs walking around that can sniff out gunpowder and weapons, and I saw one dog and he was not even anywhere near the vehicles. So, they said that the wait time was due to staff walking out or dropping from heat exhaustion. So there's that. Definitely raised eyebrows, but I didn't think too much of it, and I just kept along my merry way, you know. I did not get to my campsite until about 8:20 p.m., and these are just little nitpicky complaints that I have. Like, the ground was severely uneven. I get it. It's the universe, you know, the world was made that way. But why make the whole area campground section when the whole area is uneven? Like, and not even just slightly uneven, it was definitely bumpy, for starters. There was inadequate campground lighting. So there's that. I could not see, and we had to set up camp in the dark because, you know, sunset's at about 7:30 now. So, I couldn't set up my camp myself. So I called my mom panicking, and having a mental breakdown, and my neighbors heard me and they offered to help me. And I am very thankful for the camp neighbors that I have. They are very lovely people. We magically reconnected on social media just by accidentally finding each other. So, that was really nice because I really appreciate everything that they help me do. I saw that my canopy was a two-person job. I didn't realize that because last time I set up my canopy was at the gathering of the Juggalos, and a friend of mine went with me, so I didn't have to set it up by myself. I also decided to smoke a little Zaza, and it is not illegal in the state of Virginia if you are 21 years or older, and I am 21, so technically I am not talking about any illegal activities. Anyway, I smoked a little too much, and when I say that my tent neighbors helped me set up my camp, I mean they fully set it up because I was immobile and stuck to the ground because I was too high. That is also a me thing, and I don't blame anybody else, obviously, Finally got set up and in bed by 10 after midnight. I had no cold water because when I bought ice in Danville, I didn't realize that it was only a 5-pound bag when I bought it. So it only covered the bottom of my cooler, and by the time I went to bed, it was completely melted, and the nearest general store was closed, and the main general store that was 24/7 was miles away, and I was super tired and high, and there was no way I was walking to that store to grab a 20-pound bag of ice and drag it back to my campsite. So, I didn't risk it. I did not risk it for the biscuit. Don't mind my ugly face while I'm stretching. Okay. So next is Thursday, September 7th. This was probably my worst and longest day while I was down at this festival. So I accidentally slept in a little bit. And when I got up, I decided to go to the medical tent because I was dehydrated and lightheaded. And it was more or less to be safe than sorry because I'm diabetic and I was by myself in the middle of nowhere, states away from my family. So, like, if anything happened, I'd literally be screwed. So, I followed the posted signs to the medical tent. You want to know how that went? So, if any of you know anything about the campgrounds or were there this year at Blue Ridge 23, I was in the Raleigh camping grounds, premium camping grounds by the west entrance of the festival. I followed the signs that were next to the showers. I made it to the showers, and I followed the sign. It took me a mile out of the way to a place I didn't even need to go. There was a much closer camp store and medical tent, but the sign directed in that direction just said entrance to festival. So I didn't know of its existence. So I walked a whole mile, maybe, to this place. And yes, maybe a mile is not that far, but when you're lightheaded and dehydrated in the Virginia summer heat, it's a bit of a distance. So I got to the med tent between 3:45 and 4:15. They gave me cold packs or cold compresses to put in between my thighs and my armpits. They gave me liquid IV, which is just electrolytes and Crystal Light. Like, it's like Crystal Light flavored packets with electrolytes in it. That's literally all it was. And water to dump on my feet and on my head, and they sat me under a giant fan. Well, at about 4:45, right before the general store closed, I felt okay enough to go grab ice, so I asked them if they would come with me or if they could watch me or if I could come back afterwards, and they were like, "Yeah, that's fine. Well, we'll send somebody with you." So the somebody from EMS walked over with me in case I got lightheaded again. Ice was $15 for a 20-pound bag of ice. And you were lucky if you only had to buy one bag per day. I was lucky and only had to buy one bag per day, but there were people who had to buy several bags, and no, absolutely not. Anyway, the EMS lady got tired of holding the ice because she didn't want me carrying it. So she was like, "Oh, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go set this over in the medical tent." She left and never came back. So I paid for my ice and I went back to the medical tent. I wanted to grab my ice and my belongings, but I got lightheaded again. So they decided to transport me via golf cart to the main medical building. They would not let me store the ice inside the building and just left it outside to melt. I sat in a building with AC. They took my vitals, gave me more liquid IV. They basically told me everything was fine and that I just needed to sit in the AC for a little bit. So that's what I did. And decided to leave at about 6:30. I told them that I felt fine and that I didn't need care, mostly because I did not want to miss one of the bands that were playing, because if it wasn't for this band, I would not be into rock and I would not be into metal. So this band holds a special place to my heart, and that was 3 Days Grace. I grabbed my ice. It was half melted at this point. When I left, it started raining. And I had no idea how to get back to my campsite. So I asked security for help, and all they did was tell me to follow the signs that were posted. The signs were really vague. It just said VIP with an arrow, and basically VIP camping is premium camping. And there were 3 to 5 different VIP premium areas throughout the campgrounds. So, like, which one are you pointing to, you stupid sign? And, well, I kept wandering around as the weather progressively got worse. And I was still wandering around at about 7:30, 7:45. The storm picked up. Thunder, lightning, pouring down rain, hail, winds of up to 60 miles an hour, and the temperature dropped. An evacuation had started, and I didn't even realize that an evacuation had started because I was having a mental breakdown because I was lost. I was bawling my eyes out, and the only person that could help calm me down, which was my mother, I could not get a hold of her because service was so bad, and the storm was literally knocking out all the cell towers. I was bawling my eyes out, I was lost, and I was fucking cold because I was wearing booty shorts and a crop top tank top. And that's because I was in Virginia heat. I wasn't going to wear clothes. No, ma'am. Anyway, I ended up seeking shelter underneath a closed general store tent. I had to lift the tarp up and like kind of wiggle my way in there. Inside were puddles of water with unplugged electrical equipment just in the puddles of water. So, yeah, that was great. A couple noticed that I was upset, and they asked me what was wrong, and I told them that I'd been lost for what genuinely felt like I was lost for over 3 hours. It was so bad. It was so scary. And if I hadn't run into these people, I don't know when I would have made it back to my campsite, to be honest. My ice was now more melted, even more so. And after the storm let up enough, they took me to their friend's campsite, which wasn't even like a couple minutes away from the general store tent that we were at. Their friend saw that I was drenching and freezing, and so he gave me a t-shirt to put on. And I still have his t-shirt. I was never able to give it back, and I feel bad. But what more can you do? But he said he knew the campgrounds like the back of his hand and helped me get back to my campsite. So, and we did. We made it back to my campsite. I didn't get back till probably around 8 o'clock sometime. All that was left in my bag was less than a quarter bag of ice. So I just dumped it in there because no ice, or little ice, is better than no ice when you want cold water and cold food that is supposed to be cold. So, my tent neighbors informed me that they canceled the rest of the shows on Thursday at about 6:30, so the rest of the evening was canceled. My tent was ruined. The poles snapped, and they ripped through the top part of my tent, and the only reason rain didn't get in was because of my rain guard. Always remember your rain guard when you go camping. But very fortunate again, my tent neighbors helped me fix it just enough to get me through the weekend. I did end up pitching my tent though, so lost several cell towers, like I said earlier. So service was even shittier than it was before. A good at least 1/5 of the campground that I was at had to leave because of damage. And new tents at the general store in the campgrounds were priced at $130. And I'm talking like they're $50 tents from Walmart in that general store. And they're pricing them at $130. Yeah. So Thursday was rough. It was definitely my roughest day. But, the bands I wanted to see the most on Thursday, this is not all of the bands I was planning on seeing, just the ones I wanted to see the most. Camp Kill Yourself and Vended. I was stuck in medical for both of those. 3 Days Grace, which is the band that is my absolute favorite. I know every song from every album like the back of my hand and by heart. And they're the reason I'm into rock and metal today. Evanescence and Five Finger Death Punch, and I didn't see them because their shows were canceled. So now to Friday, September 8th. This was the only normal day that I had. I managed to get up at a decent time, but my phone was dead and water was in the charging port somehow, so I had to find a way to get the water out and then charge my phone. And for those of you thinking, why not just let your phone die and be dead? Like you're camping, you're at a music festival, you should just be enjoying that. That is not my problem. I have no problem getting rid of my phone and not being on my phone. My problem is with my diabetes because I am type 1 diabetic. I use a continuous glucose monitor and that is connected to my cell phone. So I cannot let it stay dead very long, or I'm not even supposed to even let it die regardless. So that made me miss some shows that I wanted to see, but I needed to put my health first at that point. I found the camp store that was closest to my campsite. And I mean, like, the one that I had visited on Thursday was a mile away from my campsite. The one that was closest was not even a quarter mile away from my campsite. So, that made carrying a 5 or 20-pound bag of ice a lot easier. Because at the time, I was on a 5-pound weight restriction because I had carpal tunnel surgery in July, and then there was a nerve in my elbow that was blocked that they had to release pressure on. So there was that. The festival entrance was roughly a quarter to half a mile walk. So the way security is supposed to check you in to the festival is you're supposed to walk through the metal detectors, and they're supposed to check your clear backpack because you're not supposed to bring non-clear bags into the festival. What they really did was have me walk through the metal detectors, and then they shook my bag while I was still wearing it. And we're like, okay, you're good to go. So that was that. Um, I'm still really upset about this. So if you attended Blue Ridge 22, you know about Hell Hill. It is a very steep hill, going up and going down, very dangerous when it's wet, and not very good for people with asthma, such as myself. So, the optional Hell Hill was the West Camp entrance, which was the closest entrance to my campsite. So it was either I go up Hell Hill, go the quarter to half mile to go up Hell Hill, or walk 2 to 4 miles around to the second closest entrance to the festival. So I kind of was left going up Hell Hill because I have asthma and I was not about to walk 2 to 4 miles in platforms to begin with, even without asthma. So, anyway, once I got into the festival, I decided to treat myself to cooked food because all the food that I brought with me for the campsite was food that I wasn't cooking, that I didn't cook because we weren't allowed propane and butane and shit like that. So and I'm not gonna complain about the price because in the end I did pay it, but it was still fucking ridiculous. I got loaded tots. Now the weird thing is, it said on the sign that they were $18. So I'm thinking with tax a little less than $19, right? I was charged $22 for these loaded tots. And because this was a late 21st birthday present to myself, I decided that I was going to stop or get an adult beverage. I don't drink beer, but beer was $10 a can. And the only other things they had were White Claws. I can't remember how much they were, but I don't do black cherry, and that was the only flavor they had. Or beat boxes, and if you don't know what a beat box is, it's like different flavors of like punch, but it's alcoholic punch. So, yeah, there's that. And that was $18 a carton. So, other than that, that was the only day of the festival out of the 4-day festival that I was actually able to attend. So the bands I wanted to see the most. I'll tell you now that I only saw 5 bands on Friday and 5 bands during the entire festival. So every band I saw was on Friday. I wanted to see, remember, these are the ones I wanted to see the most, not all of the ones I planned on seeing. I wanted to see Catch Your Breath, but my phone was charging and dead, so I could not go because I needed my phone. I saw Lorna Shore. However, I could not hear the audio no matter how close I got to the stage. I just could not hear them. And it was really upsetting because they did To the Hellfire. I got semi-lucky. I kind of heard the end pig squeal from Will Ramos, which is the best part of the song, in my opinion, the end of the song when he does his pig squeal. Because it got really quiet, so I was able to hear it. Knocked Loose, Sleep Token, Motionless in White, and Slipknot. Those are the only bands out of the entire festival I actually got to see and hear. So originally, when I made the plans of who I wanted to see before I even went down to the festival, like a week or so ago, I originally wanted to see Till Lindemann, and if you don't know who that is the lead singer of Rammstein. He has his own solo stuff, and he was on the schedule for Friday evening, but he overlapped Lorna Shore and Sleep Token. So originally, I wasn't even planning on seeing either one of those two bands. But Till had to cancel a couple days before the festival due to illness, so it eliminated the overlap and they fixed it so that way everybody could still see Lorna Shore and Sleep Token. So I got to see both. Also, PSA, this is due to my own stupidity. Wearing platforms all day outside at a concert and festival, not the best idea. Just putting that out there. All right. So, Saturday, September 9th. Woke up to it thunderstorming. The thunderstorm only really lasted about an hour, and after that, it was just rain. So, yeah. So I found out that they canceled Saturday sets after I woke up. By my tent neighbors, they told me that they canceled. I couldn't check the app for updates because I had no cell service. My service was really bad, and yeah. And then they announced that they'd update us about Sunday's performances by 5 p.m. Saturday evening. But my gut, my intuition told me that they were just going to cancel the rest of the festival. So I packed up camp and I left by about 4:30 p.m. And after I stopped about an hour away, I did indeed see that they canceled the rest of the festival. And I did not get home until about 2:40 a.m. The bands I wanted to see the most on Saturday was Drowning Pool, Fit for an Autopsy, Asking Alexandria, The Amity Affliction, Slaughter to Prevail, and Papa Roach. I actually started tearing up hearing Saturday got canceled simply because I was going to miss Slaughter to Prevail. They were part of the popular Mon store that I went to for Falling in Reverse. However, the show in Pittsburgh did not include Slaughter to Prevail. So. And then the bands I wanted to see the most on Sunday were Fame on Fire. That's a band I've been following since they were just doing metal covers of really popular pop songs. And I saw them in concert before they even got as popular as they are now. Bad Omens. But at the time of upload, I did see Bad Omens in concert Thursday night on the 14th in Pittsburgh, and it was a phenomenal show. I loved it so much. And this was a good experience for me going to a concert completely alone, not knowing anybody. It gave me a good experience and good hope for it, so now I'm less scared to go see Motionless in White by myself in Pittsburgh on Sunday. Corey Taylor solo set, Chevelle, Limp Bizkit, and Pierce the Veil. And if you know, Pantera was playing at the same time as Pierce the Veil. I am not a fan of Pantera. I was going to definitely choose Pierce the Veil over Pantera. So, that is my experience. There were a lot of issues that need fixed, or we were told that we're going to get fixed and never did. So, there were not enough taxi golf carts. They told us the festival was completely cashless, but yet most of the taxis only took cash. Better and proper evacuation plans need put in place. Campers were told to evacuate back to their campsite vehicle, and if you didn't have a campsite vehicle, then you were fucked and you had to evacuate inside your tent. And the non-campers, the people who stayed in hotels or lived nearby or whatever, they were told to seek shelter in a shuttle bus, yet the shuttle buses were not on property. They oversold campsites. And by overselling campsites, I mean they were turning people away at check-in, I believe starting Thursday evening into Friday, because they ran out of camp spots. And they were denying people who bought extra campsites their extra campsites. So that was money wasted for them. Vendors were still overpriced. I heard there was $80 pizzas again. And Blue Ridge stated that they were not going to allow that to happen this year. No actual security check-in for either entrance at all. Was told that there was going to be 12 water refill stations, and only 2 were available, and one of which was in the VIP area only. So, yeah, VIP area only, leaving thousands of people to, service sucked before the storm on Thursday. So, I couldn't get important app or festival updates. And when I say app updates, I mean Blue Ridge has their own app, and I could not get updates for that at all. The signage was not very useful. Like, they named each campground. Like, for example, the campground I was in was called the Rally Premium Camping. They named them, but did not put them on the signs for directions. So I'm very unsure what the thinking and logic was behind any of this. Why name the campsites and campgrounds if we're not going to utilize them? So here's a lot of the bad things that happened that I would like to address because I feel like it is important to address. And another reason why you'll see later on in the video why I make my final statement. If you use Facebook, I highly recommend checking out the Facebook group Screwed by Blue Ridge Rock Festival. In this group, as of right now, I believe there are over 22,000 members, and the people in the group, all post on what went wrong. From people who worked the festival, from people who were vendors at the festival, and from past and current attendees. So it's a good group to get a lot of information and whatnot. So a lot of the staff and stagehands quit and went on strike. I read over 150 left and walked out, and they went on strike. From picture evidence, I wish I knew how to add picture evidence to this video, but I really don't. They were treated poorly. They couldn't shower because the showers were broken. Meals were late, not even warm, and they didn't even get proper portions. They would go days without eating, and when they did eat, it was not even the size of a Lunchable. So, they were treated like shit, and the ones that were supposed to be paid were not paid. This is a quote from Electric Cowboys tour manager Tank the Tech. He has his own video. I highly recommend you checking that out as well. Here's the quote. Quote, Blue Ridge was an absolute shitfest even on our end. No joke. Worst show I've been a part of in almost 20 years of touring. I told the promoter right to his face that it was the most unprofessional, unorganized, unsafe pile of shit festival I've ever seen in my life. End quote. So that just signifies that that the bands were also treated poorly. This next little part is about Jonathan Sly. Jonathan Sly is the Blue Ridge Rock Festival CEO and promoter. So he left Virginia International Raceway and deactivated all of his personal social media accounts before canceling the rest of the festival. The reason for the cancellation was persistent severe weather, but many, including myself, know that it had nothing to do with the weather. Three things point us towards that. According to different news articles from down in Virginia, this did happen, but also other news articles and news channels say that it did not happen. Also, several campers heard all this after the festival got shut down and whatnot, and talk of security saying things about it. But anyway, the rumor in talk is that the health department came to shut it down due to sanitization. 4 porta potties per 1,000 people. That sounds gross, doesn't it? And they were not really cleaned either. And lack of safety in case of another severe storm, as well as the fire marshal coming in and saying that both the campgrounds and the festival grounds were over capacity. The second reason is because they lost over half their staff due to them being treated like dirt and not getting paid, so they walked out and went on strike. As they should. I really hope they get the justice they deserve. And the third thing is if they use weather as a reason for cancellation, I don't think they have to hand out refunds. On the website, it says if anything is canceled due to severe weather or COVID-19, I believe that's what the website says. Don't quote me on it. That refunds are not going to be available. Even though refunds were promised, both full and partial, after Thursday, or on Thursday, in posts across Blue Ridge's social media post, pages, which is now all of a sudden mysteriously gone. All of the refund posts are gone, or edited to where the refund part was taken out. But several people have screenshots, including myself, of them promising refunds. And several people are going to be doing chargebacks, which can ultimately ban you from e-tics. But I've never had to use e-tics other than the Blue Ridge Rock Festival before in my life, so, And then another question I have is, if it was too unsafe due to weather to play inside the festival, why were bands permitted to perform in the campgrounds after the cancellation? Make it make sense, Jonathan. Where were you when this happened? For those of you who don't know, after the cancellation of the show, Shinedown, Papa Roach, and a few other bands did acoustic sets out in the campgrounds. Give me a second. So now this video is going on 40-some minutes. This is my final statement, and I'm going to read it right from the paper because I wrote it so I could just read it right from the paper. Clearly something is wrong. Campers were rioting after the cancellation, breaking into cars, breaking things, and starting fires. I'm giving Blue Ridge a week for refund info. And I wrote this at the beginning of this week on Monday. It is currently Friday at 5:38 a.m. and I have not received any information. So by Monday is how long I am giving this till. I'm giving Blue Ridge till Monday, today's the 15th? 16th. I'm giving Blue Ridge till Monday, September 18th for the refund information at the very minimum. All I really want is half back for the camping site because I camped half the time, and 75% back for the festival bracelet itself for my 4-day general admission pass because I only got to attend 1 of 4 days. If I have to go back the chargeback route, I will. Next time I go to a festival, it will not be Blue Ridge. I vouched for Blue Ridge. I gave it so much love and praise. After the course of the past week and seeing how poorly not only us, the fans, but more importantly the staff that helped run the festival and the bands we hold so dear to us, I cannot and will not continue to support Blue Ridge. It honestly breaks my heart. My first year was 2022. That was also my very first music festival. I had no problems and had the time of my life and was so excited to return. In 2023, my mind has completely changed. The only semi-decent thing that was done was allow campers to either leave and get more camping supplies and then return back to camp, or allow them free access to shuttles as long as they still had their bracelet on after Thursday's weather. For many, this was their first festival, and their experience is ruined. Some don't even want to try going to another festival. My heart goes out to all those who experienced the worst from this monstrosity of a festival. So many people's once-a-year vacation ruined due to poor setup and management. Several still recovering from life-threatening issues caused by the stupidity of a promoter who thinks he knows it all and knows what he's doing and has it all under control. With that being said, if you've made it this far in the video, I would love if you could leave your experiences, both good and bad, in the comments to share with others. There was only 2 moments I can really think of, besides seeing a couple bands, that actually made my heart happy. The first one was when Motionless in White got on the main stage and talked about how they've been at Blue Ridge the last 3 years. They started at a side stage. Then last year they were on the second main stage. And then this year they got to play the main stage. And then when he began to sing, I think it was Another Life, he asked the crowd to pull out their flashlights, and they put it up on the big screen, and seeing all the flashlights and all the fans there to support him and seeing his genuine reaction was beautiful. And the second best thing was seeing Slipknot live again. So, and to close this out, I do have a witty remark. I heard Sunday's storm in Virginia was so bad that people were sitting on their pool decks and going swimming. Or even worse, they were traveling. They were doing things outside. Y'all did not cancel for the damn weather, and we know that. Anyway, take care, guys. And thanks for watching if you made it through all 47 minutes of this.